what's going on, guys? Today it is about 110 degrees in my garage, so I'm all sweaty. I'm not nervous, it's just hot. But we're gonna talk about some products today because the car's leaving in 3 days for Rise Fab down in Tennessee to get the cage and a bunch of other goodies done, the subframe reinforcement. So some of these products you guys won't get to see because they'll be installed down there and I can't be there every day. And then they'll be under the car, so it'll be, you know, kind of pointless. You won't get to see them out of the car. So we've got some goodies from Chase Bays. We've got some goodies from PBM, Part Shop Max, and I'm just going to kind of walk you through them and tell you why I'm using them and why they may be good for your BMW build. A lot of the stuff is universal between E36 and E46, but make sure to check the links below in the description to make sure that it's going to work. So let's start with Chase Bays stuff. I am going to be running their handbrake, an inline handbrake, which I see people spend way too much money on dual caliper setups. I don't think it's necessary. I would say that a ton of people would argue that it's not necessary, including RTR, one of the most prestigious drift teams in the world. They run inline handbrakes, if you didn't know that. These handbrakes come with a 3/4 Wilwood Master. I am not a fan of a 3/4 Master on an inline handbrake. I don't think it works as well. If you have really, really, really good pads and rotors, it may still work good, but a 5/8 Master is going to definitely work better. So swap that out or reach out to them, and I'm sure they wouldn't mind sticking a 5/8 on there for you. Some of you guys in the BMW community especially may have seen some posts about these handbrakes breaking right down here at the bottom. I'll put in some tight shots. They've added extra material around this bearing to make sure that doesn't happen anymore. So I don't think we're going to see it any other posts on recent ones. Yeah, it sucks. Shit happens. You know, you develop a product and until it's really, really, really put to the test, I think that you don't really know what's going to happen. I will say though that I think that if you're running a 3/4 Master, you have to pull this handbrake 5 times as hard, maybe more. You have to yank it to lock the brakes, which is obviously going to put more tension on the handbrake handle. So having a 5/8 Master is going to help with that. Also, handbrake placement. Anytime your handbrake is maybe on the other side of the tunnel, on the other side of the shifter, and you're kind of pulling the handbrake sideways, there's always a chance you're going to bust something. Also, wear out your Master, wear out the bearing that this thing is kind of rotating on. That can definitely happen. This comes with like a BMX style grip on it, Chase Bays grip. To be honest, because I have my own signature grip through Stranger, the Quan grip, I probably will put one on here. But this one feels great too. Either way, it just has my name on it, so I'm gonna put it on. Moving on, I've got some notes here on this next product because I am not the most technical person when it comes to handbrakes. I know my shit, I've used a lot of them. But this next one is new to me. In the S14, I deleted the brake booster and went with a Wilwood pedal setup. On this car, we're gonna use factory pedals, but I still wanted the feel of manual brakes, not brake boosted brakes. Yeah. So this was the perfect solution. So this is the Chase Bays dual piston brake booster delete, 6:1 pedal ratio, which should give me the same feel that I had out of that really expensive pedal box at a much cheaper price. And it's a cool package. You've got your dial for brake bias control. You've got all your fittings on it, billet cap for the reservoir, and this does work with a ton of cars. I mean, they have it configured for Hondas, Mazdas, Mitsubishis, Supras, IS3, everything. So it doesn't matter what car you have when it comes to this product. The thing about manual brakes versus when you have a brake booster is, depending on the heat with a brake booster, your brakes can kind of feel inconsistent. Not that they won't work, but the amount of pressure needed to get them to do a certain thing, like when you're left foot braking, can be inconsistent. So with these, where you may have to add a tiny bit more pressure, it's at least consistent. And your body, your feet, your driving, you'll get used to that, and it'll always be the same. There's way more details about this, and I'm going to link it down below. The best I can do for you guys is give you some beauty shots of this handbrake and brake booster delete. Now when we're talking about the brakes being inconsistent due to heat in the brakes, that's more so for road racing than drifting, but it can still happen. We drive on super hot days, we're working the shit out of the brakes. It still could happen. I'm sure that would be an argument by some that it's not needed. And for you, if you really like just having a brake booster, great. My biggest concern, other than the fact that I want consistent brakes, is brake boosters are ugly. They're so ugly. They're huge. They take up a ton of room in the engine bay. This looks clean, consistent brakes. It's the move. So I'm very happy to be putting that in the car. And we'll talk more about it because I want to kind of circle back to talk about these products. I've never used anything from Chase Bays, and I'm very excited to be working with them. And I want to kind of give you guys an update as the car gets going and we put these products to the test. With that being said, the line kit is provided. Look at this. Everything you need for the handbrake, the brake booster delete, everything right here. All the fittings. I mean, this is very simple. I would say the most confusing part about this whole kit, and I just found this out about an hour ago, is this is your plunger basically to run the master from the pedal. And I'm pretty sure from the email that I got that I have to swap out my E46 pedal for an E36 pedal, which is kind of unfortunate because it's an added cost, but it's really not, it's $39. And I think that this pedal is just a little bit more complicated than the E36 pedal, where the where the plunger kind of goes through the pedal is much different on the E36 pedal. So anyways, we'll talk more about it when we install this. This will be installed here at my house and not down at RiseFab, so we'll go through the whole process together. Moving on from there. So we got lines, we've got handbrake. Oh, also to go with the brake lines, I opted to run some brake lines from PBM that are longer. These are 18 inches long, just to make sure that we have no binding or tugging on the brake lines at full lock. So let's move on to the PBM stuff. The simple things that we've got in the mail are the chassis reinforcement kit right here. I've heard great things about this reinforcement kit, that it works fantastic. This is actually what RiseFab suggested that I get. So very happy about that. They include everything you need to make sure that your car and your subframe won't fall out. We've got subframe bushings, but I already put them in the subframe. They're gold, PBM gold. They're already in. These are M3 diff bushings, which I have not put in yet. Our M3 diff is over here, but those are the bushings. And then probably one of my favorite things and one of the coolest things are these trailing arm bushings. So we've got our big guys here. The big ones go to the back. These ones go up into the chassis. And depending on which way you put these spacers on the bearing is gonna create toe or take toe out. So that's pretty neat to have a consistent, instead of like trying to guess on the slots on the trailing arm brackets, you just flip these and it's consistent every time. I can't give you an exact number on the car yet, but that's pretty neat. I actually have some notes about these. So pretty cool about these trailing arm bushings. If you run the longer spacer on the outside, it's gonna create toe in, and vice versa, longer spacer on the inside, toe out. Obviously we don't want toe out in the rear, that would be terrible. And you'll just use your stock trailing arm brackets that are in the car right now, but you know what I'm talking about. You can buy aftermarket ones that are kind of expensive. No need with the PBM trailing arm bushings. So very cool. To go with that are their weld-in spherical trailing arm bushings. Now these ones are your little guys for over here. You basically take the cup out, you push it in, you weld it in, and then they have a really cool tool that it comes with. You've got a 3/8 ratchet on that side, grabs on the inside here, and then you can thread this out. It's neat part right here. With the subframe being the way that it is on the E46, any extra help to the strut towers and the subframe to make sure that it is reinforced to the fullest is fantastic. So this thing is pretty neat. I'm gonna link some pictures here. But basically the top bolts to the strut towers in the rear, and the bottom you drill through the sheet metal and run one of their long bolts that they provide, the hardware they provide, through into the subframe. So just some added stability and support and rigidity to the chassis. You can't go wrong. So that's pretty much everything that's going with. I will mention one more thing, just because we're on the topic of PBM, but these will not be going on the car down there. We'll put these on back here. These are our lower control arms. They are beefy as hell. If you've ever ran any of the PBM suspension stuff, it's reliable. It's pretty straightforward. But we will be installing these here at the house, not down at Rise Fab. So, but they look good. Let's get some beauty shots of these too, huh? All right, as far as stuff that I've done to the car recently, you guys saw we put on the SLR angle kit, and the goal was to get the front of this car rolling to go to the fab shop, because the back of the car is so fucked with the subframe that there's no way we could bolt anything up to roll the rear. So if we get the front rolling, then we could dolly or do something for the rear to hold it up to get it on the trailer. So that was our ultimate goal, that by the time it goes to the fab shop, that it needed to be rolling. We had our Koenig wheels. Still working with Accelera and Tire Streets. Front tires are 235 4018 and 651 Sport. Same tire I ran on the S14. It's very consistent, grippy, and super affordable still, even in today's market. So very happy with that. We've got some rubbing issues. We don't have our spacers yet. We will have to run a spacer. And something else that's neat is that these are 5x114 wheel. So we had to do hubs or re-drilled hubs. And after asking around, Chelsea finally hit me up and said that Excessive Manufacturing out in Portland had some, and we're making some, and I had no idea. So if you're looking for hubs for your BMW to run 5x114, Excessive is the way. I will link them in the description below as well. But this thing looks good. Let's give it a front shot, show the angle. All right, so to wrap up today's video, the last thing I wanted to talk about was a bunch of goodies from NRG. I've been working with NRG for years on pretty much every build. Chris Miller, Jason, everybody over there, and then now kind of transitioning to the Prisma stuff. I've actually never had any of the Prisma stuff, but they sent out a package. We've got my seat, which is an FIA SFI certified seat, in case I ever wanted to compete. I know this car is kind of, I don't know, escalating, but I figured with no time constraints and the ability to kind of just do whatever I want with it and just build the car that I want, this is what I want. And I'm trying to find a happy medium of a reliable and, you know, somewhat affordable to run vehicle. So not super high horsepower, but high-end products to try to ensure reliability. So anyways, Prisma SFI seat for me. They even sent out Olive's own seat. I saw Jonathan Hurst got one of these for his son, and I knew I had to have one. Olive loves it. She sits in it and plays with games and hangs out with me in my office. I'll set that down here. Passenger seat. Hopefully this mic is working. Passenger seat, it's the non-SFI version, and it's pretty cool. They have two little phone pockets right here in the front. So if you were, where's my phone? If you were going for a ride along, you could just shove your phone in here. And that's what the seat's for. It's for ride-alongs. It's for my wife, who's behind the camera. It's for friends, whoever. But these seats come in multiple sizes, small, medium, and large. So if you're a bigger person, smaller person, get the one that works for you. You want to be tight and snug in these seats. Another cool feature about these seats, if I flip them around, is the glitter back. I think that's super neat. And Skylar's been talking about getting the car. And if we do end up getting a car for her, she's gonna do her own like glitter back with like the pink fabric or purple. What color you want? Either way, they have a ton of colors. I'll link them in the description below, but the glitter back's really cool. It's the same thing on the SFI seat. If I turn it around, oh, this one's way heavier. Should have got the carbon one. This one's like a black glitter. So the way we're gonna mount these in the cars is they do come with aluminum side mounts, but we need something to get them on the floor. So the Garagistic billet mounts. And the reason I brought these out today is because the driver's seat actually has to be mounted in the car before it goes to the fab shop, because they need to be able to set the steering wheel when they do the roll cage, and they have the dash bar. So we need to make sure that the steering wheel is set where it needs to be. And I have some other NRG goodies too. So let's just cut to some beauty shots of some cool NRG stuff.